Hi, everyone. Welcome to the How We Hustle podcast.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tanya. And we invite you to join us in our unfiltered conversation about the real life hustle of being an entrepreneur. For more information about the podcast, check out howwehustlepodcast.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at How We Hustle Podcast, where you'll get notable quotes from our episodes and updates on live new episodes. So head over to Instagram and follow us at How We Hustle Podcast. Okay, now that Mike is done with his chips and wiping his face and drinking his water, we're ready to get started. Yes, Mike?
We're going to edit that part out, I think.
Why?
Okay, go on.
Truthful and honest. That's what I just had to wait for, was Mike to finish his chips and his water and wipe his face. So anyways, today we're going to chat a little bit about a story that I have. And the underlying feeling and belief is that you do not have to say yes to everybody. You get to choose who you work with, and you can say no to working with clients. And not everyone that comes across your space, or not every single person that you speak to, is going to be your dream client. And even though it's hard, and even though you might get backlash, you can definitely say no. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story around me. So it doesn't happen to me often. It does happen to me around once a year, where I get on the phone with someone and they are not my dream client. Now, I have qualifiers before I get on the phone with someone to figure out like if they are my dream client and if they're at the right stage to work with me or to join one of my programs or something like that. So typically those qualifiers are pretty good at figuring that out. Now, I have to admit that in this call, I did not follow them. So that's the first red flag for myself and for anyone else. You have rules and boundaries for a reason. So when you go around them and try and make an exception, you end up falling into your own trap of what you didn't want. So I have this question and I'm going to give you guys the lowdown, but I have this question when you go to book a call with me that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely or how committed are you to putting in the time, money, and energy that is required to make your business a success? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to investing the time, money, and energy that is required to make your business a success? And I cancel every single person who doesn't write 10 or above. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is because if you're not telling me that you're 100% committed, when things go astray, which they always do at some point, that's like you're saying I'm not all in. And you can't really be in this space if you're not all in, because if we have our own doubts, if we have a way out, we will always take it. Agreed, Mike?
Yep, I do agree with that. But it's not just that. It's also, you are giving your time, right? So why would you even think about entertaining someone that isn't 100% on board? Even before hard times come along, they're not even going to get to those hard times if they're not 100% on board right away.
Mm-hmm. And I guess they're also making excuses. You'll hear people say,
they're already have one foot out the door before they're even starting.
Yeah. And if you don't believe that this is going to work for you, then it definitely isn't going to work for you. If you believe that you're not sure if you want to go in this direction, then it's not going to work.
But sometimes we've all been there, we compromise. It's normal to compromise yourself. And what I mean is if someone puts 8 out of 10, it's normal to have that voice in our head that says, oh, well, maybe they're different. I'll just take the call anyway and see what happens.
It never goes well when you do that.
It never does, right? Whenever you deep down what you should do. And it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you are compromising yourself, and what you're really doing is you're second guessing the value that you have, right? Mm-hmm. And you are coming to the table at a lower, from a lower position, and you're not going to get the outcomes you want because you're compromising yourself to begin with.
And so this is what happened. So I was compromising for a reason, I thought. I had been chatting with this person online for a little while. So when they booked a call and they wrote that, I did respond saying, listen, I typically do cancel anyone who writes anything less than 10, but because we've been chatting online, I'm willing to make an exception. And that was big red flag, big mistake, Tanya, number one. Don't compromise your boundaries because they're there for a reason. Don't give excuses as to why you're compromising your boundaries.
What message are you sending your client if you compromise yourself out the gate? You're very much, you are compromising the whole relationship. You're also compromising your client's best interests, right? Because what like a client doesn't want to work with a coach that's going to compromise themselves. It's in their best interests. It's in service of them that you maintain your boundaries and get them to come to you under your terms. Because if you let them,
in theory that works, but in practice, like
I've been there too. I've done it a million times.
Yeah, like in reality, like I'm a real person and I do care about people, and so I want to help people. Especially when you've been chatting with someone, like you want to help them. You've gotten to know somebody a little. You feel like, you know what, I want to help them no matter what their situation. And sometimes it feels like, and this is where we need to balance that, is like sometimes it feels like everybody just needs like an opportunity, a hand up, someone to help them. You know, like, you know, we all had someone who like probably made an exception for us at some point. And so sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be such a hard butt, you know, I'm not supposed to swear. Sorry, Mike. So I'm not saying the word, but I feel like I was like, okay, like I actually have gotten to know this person a bit and I feel like I want to help them. And so I'm willing to compromise my typical boundaries in service of someone else, which in the end, it was not, by the way, guys. So spoiler alert, definitely wasn't a good idea, but that's how it felt at the time, is like, I'm just like, I care about this person. I want to help them. Came to bite me in the butt. But so then anyway, so I get on the phone and this is how she starts the call. She starts off the call by telling me that when she was chatting with me online, that she really liked me and really appreciated me and really wanted to talk with me. And that's why she booked a call with me. But she had seen one of my live videos. And on that particular live video, I was very sweary, my typical self outside of this podcast, and was very casual, which I am. And I was joking that I was basically wearing pajamas because I was wearing like a tank top cotton dress, which could be pajamas. And, you know, like talking about the real life behind the computer screen, where sometimes I don't brush my teeth until the afternoon, or like sometimes I forget to, you know, change out of my pajamas. Sometimes I'm not wearing a bra for the whole day. Actually, that happens more often than not. You know, it's those kinds of things I'm sure I was talking about. And so she said that when she saw my live video, that it kind of knocked me off my pedestal. And she didn't respect me or see me in the same light as she did when we were just chatting online. And so that was obviously a little bit of I was taken aback by that, because it's not typically something you hear. Typically what I hear and the types of people that I attract are people that appreciate that, because what I stand for is that anyone can do this. I am not special. I don't live a lavish lifestyle. I don't wear a ball gown to go to my office. I don't tape my videos in a studio. My cat is always screaming in the background. And anyone can do this at any age, at any stage, in any situation. A lot of my clients have kids and their kids are screaming in the background. And I say, that is real life. People want real life. Well, not everybody wants real life, because I learned this day that this particular person didn't want real life, because she felt that I was too casual, too unprofessional, too young, too, you know, chill, that it made her question if I knew enough to help her. Now, keep in mind, I've been doing this for 3 years now and been running my business, been working in my business full time, quit my job, like, golf, do whatever, travel. And she had no business. So she's comparing her no business to my thriving business and saying that she didn't think that I could help her because she would outgrow me too quickly. And that was interesting because I don't typically hear that, especially because I know a lot more than what I try to talk about online because I don't want people's eyes to glaze over. But I was like, okay, anyways, thank you for the feedback, and continued on. Now, one of the things I ask is like, what is your deeper why? Like, why do you want to do this? And this is where I really decided that this wasn't my dream client. And you get to make this decision, is that her why had nothing to do with helping people. And I only work with people who are in the business of helping people. That is a hard line in the sand for me, is I want to help people whose businesses help better the lives of others. And if that's not part of the reason someone wants to do that, then that's typically not a dream client of mine. Another thing about it is that if she was put off by how casual I was in that live video, like, she could not be a part of any of my programs, because let me tell you, what you see in my free Facebook group is a hell of a lot less casual than what it looks like inside of my programs. Like, I am the craziest like person in my private paid programs, that I am like way crazier in there than I am in a public space. Like, there are no barriers then. Like, these are paying clients of mine. Like, they get all of me, everything of me. I hold nothing back, but it's also all women. Like, in all honesty, like, we talk about masturbation, and I'm not even joking. We talk about masturbation. I did a masturbation challenge a couple of weeks ago, not going to lie. It's all women. So we can do that kind of stuff. So if she's put off by the stuff that I'm saying in my live video, that's not even talking about that, she's definitely not going to like what's happening behind the scenes in my paid programs. Like, I don't wear a bra. Like, I have a rule, no bras on weekends. Like, our group coaching call is on a Sunday. So I never wear a bra on the group coaching call. There were videos that I looked at that I was like, shit, I didn't know that
I think this episode is falling apart.
No. Anyways. Okay, I'm going to move on. But anyways, the point of the matter is that I'm very much crazier inside of my paid programs because it's all women, and like, everything is, no filter. So basically, I realized pretty quickly that this is not my dream client, and that what I know is that if she's not my dream client, that there's someone else out there who is going to be who she is their dream client for. Someone who she's going to say like, hell yes to working with them. Where for her, she was having all these hesitations and like judging me for how I am and how I be. She seemed to not like the person I am and how I act and how I show up and how I teach and how I speak and what I wear and how I look. So that was never going to work out very well. But what ended up happening is that she also made a stipulation that she wanted to meet me in real life before she joined my programs, which I run an online business. Like, if I choose to meet up with you for coffee, that's great. But that can't be a stipulation. Like, that's not a place where that's not how I'm going to set up a coaching relationship, is that there are expectations of me meeting them in real life. Have you ever had that, Mike?
Well, I think whatever you sell, like, there are going to be customers that like to make their own rules, and it never works well. Like, if you walked into an ice cream store and said, just started making your own rules, like, that wouldn't go well. And it does. I think it applies to everything you sell. And the best thing that you can do as someone that's selling is really stick to who you are. Like, there's that expression, the customer is always right. And like, we've talked about this before, but like, I think we actually have an episode from like probably 2 years ago calling like the customer is not always right, but it's true, right? Like the minute you abide by that philosophy and just start bending over in any direction at the whims of your client, then you are getting away from what you do, your zone of genius. You're getting out of your system, and it's not good for you, and it's not good for them, and it's just trouble. So I'm all about firing customers for sure.
Yeah. So like I wasn't going to start off a coaching relationship by one, feeling like I needed to walk on eggshells because this person didn't like who I am as a human being. And two, because like she was setting all of her own rules on how our relationship was going to go. That's great and all, but like, that's just not for me. And also the fact that her business was not, she didn't have the kind of why that connected with what I'm doing in my business and who I help. So anyways, we got off the phone call. It was a 2-hour call. I know it was too long. Anyways, and I said to one of my friends, like, oh, wow, I haven't had one of those in a while. That was definitely not my dream client. And I thought that would be the end of that. I didn't think she was going to hire me anyways, because she didn't seem to like me very much. And, but then that evening I got a message from her saying like, thank you. And hey, I'd love to meet for coffee. And then I'd like to join your program. So at this point I had to actually let her know that I didn't want to move forward with this relationship, which was awkward. But I tried to do it as graciously and nicely as possible by saying literally I don't think that you already have hesitations about us to begin with. And that's just not a way to start off a coaching relationship. I don't feel like I'm the right coach for you. And I know that there is somebody else out there, my saying this or something better. I know that there's somebody else out there who is going to be the perfect coach for you and that you're going to be their perfect client. She did not take well to that. She wrote me 3 messages, not very nice messages about what a terrible person I am. But it's uncomfortable and not fun to have to do that. And I'm sure it doesn't feel good for anyone else.
But imagine how bad it would have been if you had let her in though, right?
Well, I've learned that lesson because I've actually done that in the past. And it damages not just my well-being and my feeling around my business, but in a group coaching program, it impacts everyone in the group. It's not just me. I always have to remember that is when you bring someone into a community, especially a very intimate community, it impacts everyone. And so if this person is not the type of person that is going to benefit the community, then, that is also going to impact other people. So, it's uncomfortable, but it would have been worse to allow to work with somebody who was not my dream client, and was not, I wasn't the right coach for them. If you hire someone, I have to admit, I kind of talked about this with a friend of mine, a biz bestie. And we talked about, when you hire a coach and it's a big investment and it's a scary investment, but you're sure, this is the right person. I feel good about this. But as soon as you pay them, everyone goes through this buyer's remorse feeling oh my God, did I make the right decision? Can they really help me? Is this really going to be good? Or did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? Should I have hired someone else? And you see other people and you're should I have hired them? Oh shoot, should I have hired this person? There are always those feelings in the back of your mind. And so if you had started off a relationship where you're already thinking that before you even paid the person, it's not going to go well. You're not going to trust or believe this person. The fact that she already said that she felt like she was going to outgrow me and that she didn't respect me and that I didn't know enough of this, then those are obviously her judgments of me since she didn't really know me very well yet. But the fact that she was already feeling and thinking that's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better over time. She's going to have more doubts creep in as she has to do things that make that feel uncomfortable for her as well. So it wasn't a good way to start off a relationship, but it would have been way worse if like I had said yes to working with a client that wasn't the right fit. And it would have been not in service of me. It wouldn't have been in service of my group, but it mostly wouldn't have been in service of her. If you're ready to invest at that level, like, then you should be working with the right person.
I don't think she was ready to invest. I think she's just someone that, with every stage you offer her, she would have found a problem and never would have actually. But I think the point is that it's like, you want to identify who your dream client is, and you want to identify how you work with that dream client and really stick to it, right? Because if you had just stuck to your initial qualifier of the 10 out of 10, like nothing would have happened beyond that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and totally.
It's so tempting. Like, I've been there, you've been there, to compromise on helping people who are either maybe not your dream clients or people who are trying to dictate their own terms, being like, I want to work with you, but I want to do it this way. And, for one reason or another, you compromise yourself. You agree to terms that you don't actually want to agree to. Like, it will always come back to bite you later. So like, it's okay to just not do it. It's okay to put your foot down and say, look, we're not doing it that way, because you'll always make more money doing it that way. And it's always better. Like,
yeah, I just learned over time, like from working with clients that were not my dream client, that it's not worth it. Like, it makes you resent your business or hate what you're doing or be afraid to open your computer or like be annoyed or in bad energy space or like not enjoy what you're doing. And in a business where you get to choose what you do, like you also get to choose who you work with. And it's okay to say no, because I believe like this or something better. Like if this doesn't work out, something better will. And there's like the right fit for that person, there's the right fit for you. And like, it's like kind of being outside of that scarcity mentality of like, oh, I better take this client because, like it's abundance. Like I can't say no to abundance. Like you're not saying no to abundance if it's not the thing or the...
Well, a great example of that is my last company when I turned off my phone. So I had an online business, but I had a phone number, right? And I was spending 80% of my time answering phone calls and dealing with the problems of 20% of my customers. So, I just say, look, I'm just going to actually stop using the phone. And I would have customers that would email me and say, hey, can you call me? I want to talk to you on the phone. And I would reply and I would say, nope, I'm only doing it via email now, or I'm only doing it on the website. And in a way, you say, I'm turning down sales. And it's true, I did lose a few sales, but the amount of abundance I got in return for, firing those customers, like I fired the bottom 20% of my customers. I said, I'm not going to compromise myself anymore by like allowing you people to take up my time. And that gave me so much more bandwidth to then open up and help my quality customers, and it gave me all my time back. So by closing off my business to that segment of customers, I was able to create a whole new level of abundance in my life and my business, just because I was willing to say no.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Basically, don't be afraid of saying no. Even if you get backlash, it's bound to happen. You're bound to get some backlash because it doesn't feel good. It feels like rejection to the other person, but be gracious about it. Be as like soft and gentle as you can be with that person, because it's sucky. But outside of that, like you have to protect your energy and your business and your community and who you want to work with.
And that's a wrap on another episode of How We Hustle. For more information, check out howwehustlepodcast.com.